It was still warm in my mouth when I realized what I had done. The taste, thick and bitter, clung to my tongue like regret. I stood there motionless, chest rising and falling, while Evan, the young tenant renting our guest room, stared at me with eyes that held both satisfaction and something far deeper. I was 55. He was 22. This was never supposed to happen. It started as a silly argument over the laundry that turned into a teasing dare. Then I was on my knees picking up a spilled basket. My hands were trembling. My knees pressed against the cold tile floor, and my wedding band gleamed under the harsh overhead light. He whispered, "You wanted to say it too." And the worst part was, I did. But what neither of us knew then was how far this would go and how deeply it would unravel everything we thought we could control. Before I continue, I want to take a moment to thank every single person who has subscribed to this channel. Your encouragement, your engagement, and your responses mean the world to me. To those who are watching for the first time or just haven't tapped that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? Your support is the fuel that keeps this fire burning. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. I always read every comment, and this channel grows with your voice. Now let's get back to the story, because it's about to go much deeper. My name is Lena. I'm 55 years old, a retired legal assistant living in a quiet part of Georgia. My husband, Mark, is a contractor gone most of the year on extended projects. That silence became my norm. The lonely dinners, the cold side of the bed, the birthdays spent in solitude. Then Evan moved in. Evan was a family friend's son who needed a temporary place to stay after graduating. At 22, he was all energy, self-assurance, and that warm, hopeful charm that young people carry so easily. He had a degree but no job yet, and bills were catching up with him. Mark told him he could stay with us until he got on his feet. I agreed, of course. What homeowner wouldn't? I had no clue I was welcoming temptation. It started subtly. The way he would come downstairs after a run, still catching his breath. The lingering looks when I bent to grab the mail. The way his compliments hovered a little longer than they should. I told myself I was imagining things. I was old enough to be his mother, for heaven's sake. But one warm summer evening, I was folding laundry in the back room. He walked in wearing a loose shirt still damp from his jog. His hair was messy, his face flushed, and suddenly my mouth went dry before I could greet him. "Hey," he said, grinning. "You always wear dresses that nice for doing chores?" I brushed it off. "Go shower, Evan." But he stepped closer. "Maybe I just like seeing you when you're focused like that." My pulse raced. I felt heat rush to my face. I should have left. I should have scolded him. But I froze, half from panic, half from a feeling I hadn't felt in ages. Scene. I told him to stop. I didn't mean it. I think he knew that because he softened his voice, fingers brushing the edge of the basket I held. I murmured his name like a warning. He took it as honesty. One hand steadied my shoulder. His voice brushed my ear. "Talk to me. Really talk to me." My ring felt like a chain. "I shouldn't," I whispered. But he only smiled gently. "You needed someone to listen, Lena." And God help me, he was right. But what I didn't know then was that Evan had no plans to stop there. He wanted more of the connection we shared, and this time he would make sure I gave it. I tried to avoid him the next day. I lingered in the bedroom pretending to fold clothes that were already folded the night before. My hands shook every time. I touched my lips as if the memory of what I had said still lived on my skin. I could still hear his voice. Mark had called that morning from Savannah. He was staying another week. That should have been comforting. Instead, it was provocation. The silence in the house felt like a dare. Evan was already in the kitchen when I finally emerged. He leaned against the fridge, drinking juice straight from the carton like always. Only this time he paused mid-sip, wiped his mouth, and looked at me like I was a question he wanted answered. "Morning, Lena," he said, slow and warm. "Sleep okay?" I hesitated. "Evan, we need to talk." He grinned, stepped closer. "About what you said last night?" My cheeks flushed. "About what we said." He shrugged. "All I know is you didn't push me away. You opened up, and you looked like you needed every word." His words burned, not because they were false, but because they were true. I'd spent the night wrestling with shame. But here he was, wearing honesty like confidence. "It was a mistake," I whispered. "Then make the right choice this time," he said softly. "Because I'm not done talking with you, Lena. Not even close." That week was a torment I had never known. Every room in the house became a trap. He would brush past me too closely in the hallway, leave the bathroom door slightly open while humming after a shower, knowing I'd hear him. At dinner, he sat across from me, foot nudging mine under the table, daring me to react. I kept telling myself to stop, to tell Mark, to draw a line, but the truth was, I craved the attention. It made me feel visible, wanted, alive, and then came the night everything nearly fell apart. Mark surprised me. He came home Friday night instead of Sunday. He walked in with flowers and wine, talking about how much he missed me. I felt nauseous, not just from lying to him with every glance, but because Evan was upstairs. The house was heavy. I kept hoping Evan would stay in his room. Mark opened the wine, poured me a glass, and started kissing my cheek. I went stiff. My mind was still caught in the memory of Evan's voice, his gentleness, his attention. Then the worst thing happened. Evan came downstairs wearing only a towel around his shoulders. He froze. Mark looked up. "Hey, buddy. Still here?" Evan laughed lightly. "Yeah, just finished a shower. Didn't know you were back early." Mark smiled. "Hope you're not driving Lena crazy." Evan's eyes met mine. His smile darkened. "She's been really supportive lately." Mark didn't catch it, but I did. That night, while Mark lay sleeping beside me, I was wide awake. Heart racing, eyes open to the dark. My phone buzzed, a message from Evan. "Come downstairs, or I'll come to you." I slipped from bed, barely breathing, careful not to wake Mark. I made it halfway to the stairs and stopped. My mind raced. What we were doing, how close Mark was to discovering it. It wasn't just attention anymore. It was control. It was power. It was something tearing me apart. By the end of that week, Evan had stopped pretending. He wasn't whispering in shadows or stealing glances. He didn't care what Mark might think. And I kept giving in, not physically, but emotionally. It wasn't love. It wasn't lust. It was need. A need to be heard, noticed, chosen. But what I didn't know was that our little spark was about to become a wildfire. That Sunday, Mark invited a few friends over for the Falcons game. The house buzzed with snacks, beer, and noise. I tried to act normal. I wore a long dress, no makeup, and I avoided Evan like the plague. But he wouldn't let me go. Every time Mark left the room, Evan was there whispering soft words in my ear, brushing my arm as he passed, sending texts I couldn't dare open in front of anyone. Then it happened. Mark had stepped outside to take a call. His phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced over accidentally and froze. The screen lit up. It was a voicemail from my number. My stomach dropped. I didn't remember calling. I snatched the phone, heart hammering, and played the message. The sound that spilled out made my blood chill. It was from last night in the kitchen. Somehow my phone had dialed his number and recorded everything. Every emotional confession, every whispered vulnerability, every line we crossed. I almost dropped it. My hand shook so badly I barely stopped the playback, erased it in a panic. Too late. Mark had walked back in. He saw my face, my trembling hands. His smile disappeared. "What's wrong, Lena?" he asked. "You look like you saw a ghost." Then the unthinkable. Evan walked in behind him, stretched, yawned, and said lazily, "Mark, when are you heading back out again? Lena and I have gotten real close while you've been gone." Mark turned to me, then to Evan. His gaze sharpened, and everything exploded. He demanded answers. I tried to lie, but I collapsed. I confessed, every word cutting like glass. Mark stared at me like I was someone he didn't know. His face twisted with fury and heartbreak. "You were supposed to be supporting him," he snapped. "How long has this been happening?" Evan stayed silent. No guilt. No apology. Just watching. Mark stormed out that night. No calls. No messages. Nothing. The next morning, Evan was gone too. No note, no goodbye. Just an empty room and the echo of betrayal. The house felt dead. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. All I could hear were Mark's last words before he slammed the door. "You disgust me." I had lost everything. My husband, my peace of mind, and a part of myself I may never get back. One choice, one reckless moment of emotional weakness, burned down the life I'd spent over 20 years building. Was it worth it? I still wonder. But this I do know. Silence, loneliness, and hunger are a volatile mix. And when someone finally makes you feel seen again, even if it's wrong, sometimes your soul responds before your mind can catch up. That's my truth. My shameful, unfiltered, but real truth. Now I want to hear from you. What would you have done in my place? Do you believe in second chances after something like this? Let me know in the comments. I read every word, and if this story stirred something in you, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There are more secrets to uncover. And the next one is even darker.